Okay, we are here with Marissa Anderson, who just got back from Cambodia on Sunday. Today's Wednesday, July maybe the 19th.
Is today the 19th?
I don't know.
Today is the 19th, yes.
And, yes, we are having Christmas in July. Just kidding, that tree is always there. Anyway, so we have some questions that our team would like to find out about your trip to Cambodia.
Orky dorky.
Did you say okie dorky?
I said orky dorky.
Okay, that's pretty cute. First of all, just real basically, why did you go to Cambodia?
Okay, well, I'm assuming all of you know Mercedes, my big sister, and she went to Cambodia 5 years ago. And so after that, I was like, Cambodia, that's so much fun. And then I'd done, like, reports on it and stuff in school, because I was obsessed, as little sisters are with things their big sisters do. And so then last year, I went on a trip for, like, my first time, and it was terrifying and amazing, and I fell in love with the country and the people. And so this year, I was feeling called to, and I just really wanted to go back and see all the people again and be part of another team and do all the fun stuff all over again and have new experiences. So, yeah.
Very good. Cool. So what experiences did you have? What did you do there?
Well, it was very similar to last year where we kind of worked in a lot of villages with lots of little kids and stuff and families. We did lice removal, which I know sounds really gross, but it's a really awesome part of it to me because the head is it's a very sacred thing in their culture. So for them to allow you to touch their head for like up to 5 minutes is a serious thing for them.
For just the kids or
for all
adults
people?
as well? They all had lice?
A lot of them do, yeah, because once one person gets it spreads easily, and not a lot of them have access to shampoos and clean water and stuff, so it just stays in their head. But the main focus of this trip was actually building a house for one of our tuk-tuk drivers, who a lot of you may know because you helped fundraise a new moto for him.
What's his name?
Saman.
That's right.
He's
okay.
amazing. He works with YWAM. He gave up his career as a tuk-tuk driver to be a missionary in his home country.
And YWAM stands for?
Youth with a Mission. It's the organization. I went with a leg of their organization.
And the leg is called?
Steps of Justice.
Okay, thank you.
And so our focus is building his house for him and his family because right now they were just living at YWAM's headquarters in Cambodia, and now they have their own house and they're moving in about a week, which is very exciting. Cool.
And how big is the house? And what did you guys actually do?
Our team, because none of us are licensed contractors,
you have to be licensed contractor to
you have to know
there?
what you're doing.
Oh, okay.
Especially because YWAM is sponsoring it, so they want us to, do legitimately. So we did plastering of the walls and stuff, cleaning up all the trash around the site to make sure it was all, nice and clean. Painting a little bit, but a lot of the heavier stuff they wanted actual construction crews to do just because it was safer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Does it have plumbing in this?
I believe
house?
they will have plumbing. I know they have access to electricity because one of the men on our team found out that because they were moving, they were going to have a new refrigerator for their house.
Oh.
And so in 2 days, our team, just our little team of 16 people, were able to raise $400 to buy Saman and his wife and their 3 kids a refrigerator. Which made his wife cry a lot because if you don't have a refrigerator, then all your food goes bad and you lose a bunch of money because you're losing all of your food that you can't save. So now they have a refrigerator, and another a pastor and his wife were also on the team, and before they left, their church had raised about $1,000, and so we were also able to buy Saman a gate for his house, so his kids will be safe now, and his wife will be safe when he's out of the house and stuff.
A gate? What do you mean? Like a whole fence that goes around?
It goes around
the
front. It's connected to the house, and then it goes out like a patio almost, which is very common in Cambodian houses. Mm-hmm. And so they can cook outdoors and stuff. That way smoke doesn't get in their house, and the kids can play there, and they can keep their moto and their tuk-tuk instead of putting it in the house. It can be in their patio area, and they'll have a gate so they can be safe, and they're a lot less likely to be robbed because Cambodians don't like going for things that are harder to get, so if you have a gate, then they're too lazy to try.
So too hard to open.
Yeah. But so now they're going to have a safe house with a refrigerator. I know they're going to be getting electricity soon and plumbing and all that fun stuff, but they're just building it. They're finishing it right now.
And what does Saman, right? Did I say it right? What does he do for Steps of Justice? Is he just like always a tuk-tuk driver, and he just runs them back and forth?
For Steps of Justice, yes, he's our main tuk-tuk driver and one of our main translators because he speaks
translator too.
really good English, surprisingly, considering he wasn't taught it when he was younger. He started learning as he got older. And he actually came to be a Christian because of our Steps of Justice teams that were coming to Cambodia. And he stopped being a street fighter, stopped gambling, stopped drinking, and then decided to give his life to God. And they became missionaries. And so they live at the DTS base, take care of the people that live there. DTS is when you go and you do like it's a 3-month mission trip in any country where YWAM assigns you. And so a lot of people get assigned to Cambodia because they need a lot of help. And so Simon and his wife, they kind of take care of the house a little bit. And there's a few other couples who live in the house that are Cambodians that work with YWAM. But yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
And just real quick, how big do you think the house is compared to one of our, let's say our rooms in a house? Like, is it twice the size of your bedroom or
well, I have
smaller,
a pretty
bigger?
big bedroom. But I would say it's around the size. It's their houses tend to be deep, like they go long ways more. And it's 2 stories, which is very nice for them. Yeah. So it's probably about the size of like a small apartment almost.
Okay. That's pretty good size.
It's like a big living room, but all together it's probably about the size of like a smaller apartment.
And is it in one of the villages? Is it on stilts like some of the pictures we've seen the ones of the houses?
Most of the ones in the city or in Phnom Penh, which is the main capital, don't tend to be on stilts because there's not as much flooding because it's the most developed of a lot of the provinces.
And that's where the house is?
So it's just outside of the city. Okay. So it's technically still in Phnom Penh, and it's right next to the airport, actually. And the airport's about 30 minutes away from the center of town.
It's a good location for a tuk-tuk driver.
Yeah, he can just go back and forth between the airport, which is really easy for him, and that way he can make extra money if he needs to.
Okay, well that sounds exciting.
Yes.
What did you learn there?
Well, a lot of the experiences were similar to last year because most of the time the trips, because not a lot of people go over and over and over again, unless you're like Mercedes or I. But so a lot of like the things that we do in the organizations we work with are the same. So that wasn't anything super new. But I did learn a lot about myself through it. There was a woman there, her name was Mary, and she was on our team. And her and I had seriously deep conversations after knowing each other for about 2 days. And so I learned more about myself on this trip than I did about Cambodia. And I think that was really amazing because it was stuff that I hadn't learned after being in counseling for like 5 years and stuff. So it was really amazing to just see life in a new light, kind of.
Okay. What are some things that you learned last year that you repeated this year?
A lot of the poverty. Like coming back to work, because today was my first day back at work, and having to tell people their total was $8 and it was for one meal, when I know that $8 is enough to feed an entire Cambodian family for a day. And so it's really hard because, like, for us, well, to be in Cambodia, you can get a fairly nice meal for about $1.50, like a sufficient meal of Cambodian food. If you want American food, it might be about $3 to $4. So coming back home and seeing it all, we went shopping for Marcos's, my little brother's clothing, and in the store I saw shirts that were almost some people's yearly wages. And so it's just really hard to come back and have, kind of like reverse culture shock and just see, like, in Cambodia you can get a hotel room for like $20 a night and it's a really, really nice hotel room. And then here you can't even fill a gas tank for $20 unless you've got, I don't know, a really, really tiny gas tank. But it's just seeing everything again, seeing the poverty, having to go to stores and knowing, like, Walmart. I work right next to a Walmart, and I know that there's a Walmart factory in Cambodia right outside the city. And you'll see trucks and trucks of people go by you, and they're all factory workers that are going to work every day. And they go really early in the morning, and then they leave really late at night. And so it's just the shock of coming back home where everything is so much more expensive and useless, and just we don't appreciate what we have when we have it.
That's good insight. So other than that information, what else would you want us as a team and the American culture,
Mm-hmm.
what would you want us to learn about the Cambodian people or the country?
One thing is the pain that Cambodia has experienced. For those who don't know, Cambodia had a genocide back in the 70s. So anyone you talk to in Cambodia that's over about 43, it means they've lived through a genocide. And just the pain that the entire country has experienced, and they are just now gaining a middle class and barely an upper class. And seeing how happy they are. Those people, even if they have one tiny little grain of rice, they will give it to you in their tiny little hut with their mud floors because they want to, because they just love people so genuinely. And so just remembering that. I mean, most of us can't even imagine what it's like to have a country that's gone through so much and have family that's gone through so much, and just going through life remembering to love people just genuinely and be happy just genuinely, because this is what we have right now in the moment. And the pain that country still experiences. I mean, they are still one of the top countries for sex trafficking and child sex trafficking. And still these people are so kind. And the girls that have been rescued that I've met personally are still so sweet and so full of joy that you can't even, like, imagine. And so just remembering to have joy even though pain does exist. But, yeah.
All right, then. So we're going to remember to have joy in the midst of pain.
Yes.
And what else can we do to help their cause?
Definitely, and I can send people links, organizations that are in Cambodia. Almost all of them are nonprofit, so they don't make money off of these things. They just do it because this is what they want to do. They want to help people. So looking up these organizations, ethical buying, when you're buying your clothing and all that, which I know can be difficult, especially because so much of our stuff in America is mass-produced in factories. But look into companies that have ethical ways of producing food or producing clothing or producing furniture. And you can't always do it 100%. That would cost a lot of money and be a lot of hard work. But looking into it and making an effort and saying, maybe I won't buy this today because I know that that's probably not made ethically. And there are people that probably suffered just to make that. And then donating to these causes. There are so many, so many wonderful causes and organizations there that actually do make clothing that you can buy. One of the ones is called Children at Risk. They have a place called the Sewing Project. And it's where mothers and people in the villages can go to work to make money for themselves, because a lot of women can't provide for themselves in Cambodia. And they have a daycare there for their children, and they make really, really good clothing, and that's high quality. So just looking into ways that you can help people, even in the smallest bits, even donating $5, that can change people's lives. But, yeah.
Okay, that's a good place to start. Thank you. So finish the sentence. I will never forget about, finish the sentence about Cambodia. I will never forget.
Oh, man. That's a hard one. There was one village we went to, and our group's never really been there before. There was a German man named Tim, and he had just started his organization there. So a lot of the kids don't know how to act around Westerners or white people. And that village that they're in still has a lot of prostitution, a lot of gangs, a lot of violence. So a lot of the children are very violent. They'll hit each other. We weren't allowed to give any of them gifts because they would beat each other up if one of them got something and the others didn't. But while we were there, and the kids all acted fairly nicely, and we were hanging out with the kids and doing like a kids club, there was one little girl who for some reason was just hanging out with me. And towards the end, I was feeling tired because my back was hurting, and so I sat down. And she came over and just sat in my lap, and I later found out she was 8 years old. But she didn't speak any words of English, and I didn't speak any words of Khmer, or the Cambodian language. And she sat there, like her and I, for about an hour and a half. And she was just tracing the lines in my hand and looking at our skin tones compared to each other. And she would just look up at me and look into my eyes randomly. And I couldn't remember her name because it's hard to remember names so you don't speak the language. And she didn't know mine. And we just sat there in complete peace. And I looked into her eyes and I knew she'd experienced more pain than we could probably imagine. There was something in her eyes that was so much older than the 8 years old that she was. So just she will stick with me. The experience of just sitting there in complete, like, just contentment in that really noisy room full of children, and she was just sitting on my lap against the wall, completely happy. And so that.
Wow. That's beautiful. Okay. All right. I think that's good. Is there anything else that you want to share with the team? Or
if you have the opportunity to, go to Cambodia. It's amazing. The trip is like around $2,000 something, including flight, but it is the most amazing experience you will probably ever have. It is the most beautiful country there is and the most beautiful people. So if you have the opportunity to go to Cambodia and, you know, sacrifice the 18 hours on the flight, because you will go to the most amazing place on earth, which is not Disney World, I promise.
Yeah. The happiest place on earth.
But yeah.
All right. Thank you, Marissa.
My pleasure.